This video is brought to you by our great friends at Audible. Just go to audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500 and start your free trial now.
I can guarantee you, you will never achieve anything greater than your highest aspiration.
I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to eat, because you can go 21 days, maybe 30 without eating. I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want water, because you can go about 3 days or so without it. I said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe.
You're never going to be great if you don't look for the 5%. And so nobody out there is listening to him and saying, God darn, he's just so much smarter than me, so I'm not going to become worth $5 billion.
I switched my mind to something else. I switched my mode into something else, right? For me, it's the equivalent of Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator picking up the dirt, smelling the dirt. It's go time.
Compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today. And that's a game you can win.
If you would get off the couch, stop murmuring, stop complaining, you're about to go to a whole nother level in every area of your life.
You create your own destiny and secure the future you envision.
You can do anything you want that you have passion for, because that eliminates most of the crap, because most people don't follow their dream.
And you need to know that the baseline is failure. You know, it's important because otherwise you'll blame that on yourself.
That's not what you need. But what some of you need is to go from 70% to 120%. Some of you need to go from 80% to 120%.
Because what will not happen is quit. What will not happen is failure. What will not happen is you dropping out.
My life speaks louder than words, because when I begin to change my life, I'm going to learn to make good choices. I'm going to learn to be responsible. I'm going to be dedicated. I'm going to have good characters and morals and values. I'm going to own up when wrong. I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to stand up for what I know is right, and I won't let anybody change me. And maybe that's not where you're at right now, but you can get there, and these are the attributes of success, man. If you want something in life, you gotta be willing to do what nobody else has done. If you keep doing the same thing you've always done, it's the definition of insanity. If you want to change, you're gonna have to be willing to change.
I do what you don't want to do, that you know that you gotta do to be where you want to be.
I don't know your vision. I don't know your mission. I don't know what you want to be.
Take stock of where you are. You know what your advantages are and what your disadvantages are, and then you start with a little humility on the path of incremental improvement.
Don't let your words guide you, let your actions guide you.
Now it's time for you to dig deeper, ask more questions, spend more time and study hard. Create a winner circle of people that are succeeding in the class that you're struggling in, and stick to them like glue.
It's bloody hard to be a high-performance person.
I see every day people with this mentality that the world owes them something.
The simple answer here is that you need to work harder and faster. There's really nothing else.
Life is a series of choices. At that moment, that choice was, quite honestly, hard work.
Put your head down and do the training and take the pain, and eventually it's going to pay off. And on those days where you just got to get through an impossible to-do list, you really have to feel that if you put your head down and you take the pain, it's going to pay off.
And since I'm going to do this, I'm going to harness my will. And I'm not going to let anything stop me. I deserve this.
Hard work is the most precious asset you have.
You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
But it don't work if you don't work.
I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing.
There is no in between. You're either growing or you are decaying.
If you want something, you have got to be relentless. This is a winner's quality. You have that quality within you. When you're hungry, you don't care about the facts. You don't care about the odds.
If you want to be an anomaly, you've got to act like one.
Why are you only giving 50%? What's wrong with you?
You said your goal was to pass every class. You said your goal was to never again finish last.
Most people, what they're doing is they're all at this mountain called success, and they're all strolling around the bottom of this mountain, and they're looking for an elevator to carry them to the top. See, they haven't realized yet that there is no elevator, and I'm already halfway up the stairs.
I'm not getting up on time. I'm not going to work on time. I'm not putting in 120% when I'm at work. I let me down.
All right, if you work hard and you never give up, you can literally achieve anything.
Break it down and add just a little more effort. Add just a little more focus. Add just a little more time management. Add just a little more patience. Add just a little more studying. Add just a little more listening. Add just a little more discipline.
To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did.
I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to eat, because you can go 21 days, maybe 30, without eating. I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want water, because you can go about 3 days or so without it. I said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And so one of the things I want to do for you as an educator today, you don't necessarily need better skills per se. That's not what you need. But what some of you need is to go from 70% to 120%. Some of you need to go from 80% to 120%. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your daddy's not in your life. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your father's in prison. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your mom is working 2 jobs. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because your grandma's raising you. The reason why I'm giving 120 is because you live in a community where education is not valued. So I don't care what you do academically, when you leave here, you can't go and get credit for getting A's. That in your neighborhood, in your community, nobody affirms you for reading at a certain level. Nobody affirms you for doing well on your ACT or your SAT. Where you come from, education is not affirmed. So even if you are a scholar, you have to keep it to yourself. You have to suppress it. So the reason why I give 120 is because your daddy's not there to give 80, and your mama's too tired to give 100. And your grandma is washed out, so she's giving 50.
And y'all do that little stuff about you gonna eat, but y'all ain't got no doggone motor. You get tired quick. You practice for 1 or 2 days, you roll out. You do a couple hours, you tired. But yet you compete against people right now, that's their lifestyle. And you think they about to let you take their lifestyle?
I don't want to do it as much as I want to eat. I don't want to do it as much as I need to drink. I want to be the best in the world as bad as I want to breathe. I want to be the Michael Jordan of education. I want to be the LeBron James of education. And I ask you the question. I ask you the question today, are you giving 120? I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to eat. I never said when you want to succeed as bad as you want water. I said when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
I told my professor, what happens if I fail? He said, what happens if you pass? I said, but what happens if I don't get it? What happens if I put in all these years and it don't work out? He said, but what happens if you put in all these years and you get it? You got skill and you got will. You got skill and you got will. 2 total different things. You were born with certain things, but to get to the next level, and not just get to the next level, to stay at the next level, you gotta have will when you get to that next level. So when you play, you have to compete. When you have an opportunity, why would you give 80% when you have an opportunity? Somebody answer that for me. Y'all talk. Why would you give 80%, 70%? Why wouldn't you always give 120%? For real, you might get it, but right now what? Oh, I can't hear y'all. You may get it, but right now what? You don't have it. You have nothing to fear. Guys, you already overcame all kind of stuff. Because a lot of you don't see that what's going to take you to that next level that's going to separate you from everybody else, because you got to have something that separates you. What's going to separate you from everybody else? Right? I don't know what that is for you, but just talk about it. When you hear my videos, one of the things you notice that separates me from everybody else, I don't do what in any of my videos? I don't curse. You've never seen me cuss before. You've never seen me drink before. You've never seen me smoke. I'm not against drinking and smoking, but my brand is I don't drink, I don't smoke. What are you gonna do to separate yourself? Like, I do things to separate myself from everybody else. The passion that I have when I speak, the grind that I have when I do what I do. What are you going to do to separate yourself? People you're not even gonna be hanging out with. All I wanna hear is E. They grinding like they never grind before. Johnny, I wanna hear they out there handling that rock like E. They monsters, E. They like freaks out here, E. Like, they going hard, E. That's all I want. What's some more stuff that's keeping you from doing what you're supposed to do? I love it. You have an opportunity of a lifetime. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is, when you understand you have an opportunity, you play a little different.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Unless you want average in America, married, 2.4 kids with 1.5 dogs. But I can guarantee you, you will never achieve anything greater than your highest aspiration. If you want $1 million, you'll make $1 million, not $1.5 million. If you want 10 million, 100 million, and you'll never exceed that. If you change 1 billion lives, that's a formula to become a billionaire and change the world. Time costs lives. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You want to know why you're all f***ed up? Just look at the bums you hang around with. I do what you don't want to do, that you know that you got to do to be where you want to be. Ted Turner just gave his 75th anniversary party on CNN a few months ago. And he makes a couple of comments, and he says, number one, and I'm not suggesting this for everybody, it's how I lived though. First 10 years of my starting CNN, I slept on my couch. I didn't have an apartment. Bill Gates slept in the office. Steve Jobs slept in the office. And I can go down a whole list. Now these are super successful, mega wealthy guys. I slept in my office. Not everybody's willing to make that sacrifice. But it's not the only thing. But even if you don't sleep in your office, if you want to send your kids to a better school, if you want to be able to take care of your mother when she gets dementia, if you want to, this all takes money. My children aren't getting any of my money when I die. Not one centavo, not one penny. And 2 of my kids are cool with it. One of them's not so cool with it. I'm not gonna, I think Andrew Carnegie, by the way, Andrew Carnegie, arguably the richest, most successful entrepreneur of all time, he said the best thing that you can have for a child is him to be born into poverty. And I agree. Lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth. Now they think they have self-worth. They think because they've made a few bucks. But in actuality, and when they measure it against the other 8, 10, 12 people sitting around the table, they realize, or they start to question, hell, maybe I was just lucky. Now, all of us, when you're only a one-trick guy or gal, think, was I lucky? Now, I've done it so many times, I know I wasn't lucky. I might have been lucky the first time, but I haven't been lucky the 15, 20, 40, 50. I know that.
Okay.
But maybe I was lucky the first time. But my life changed when I was pretty much a haphazard kid, got in a lot of trouble, got arrested 4 or 5 times, thrown in jail. And this was when my dad's a cop. But then I volunteered for the draft in 1966 at the height of the Vietnam War. And I went to OCS, and that changed my life because it was the really first real high performance thing that I could measure myself against with other people. 2/3 of all Fortune 500 CEOs have one thing in common: military background.
Really?
2/3 of those 2/3 have something else: martial arts. What do you learn in martial arts, Brian? Discipline, focus. A lot of people don't believe they deserve to be there. I convince them, and we have these drills, why you belong there. A lot of people that come there, with money, that have made money, think they made it by accident.
Right.
I just had one of my superstars who's made $100 million tell me in the last week, I'm not sure I'm going to have another lucky accident. And I said, you did it. I mean, you tried a lot of things. I believe Thomas Edison, I wouldn't have done it 10,000 times.
Okay.
I would have hired an engineer from MIT to do it. But I mean, I've tried a lot of things. Nobody's failed at more things than I have. And the first 100 million are successes, but I could write a book about failures that'd be, because I've tried a lot of different things. Because failure is just testing. And one of the reasons I've been so successful in generating this equity and value in my kids, and I call you all kids, is because I convince them that making a mistake is okay. Your parents probably told you, you can be anything you want, but you can't. That's horseshit. You can't. If it's all juxtaposed. But what you tell them is that you can do anything you want that you have passion for, because that eliminates most of the crap. Because most people don't follow their dream. Like they say in The Sound of Music, you can't have a dream come true unless you have a dream. Now, I still dream. I dream in Technicolor. I say my affirmations and goals every single night. It's bloody hard to be a high performance person.
Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. All right, I'm not real smart. I have nothing. That's my starting point. Now we can move from there. But if I tell myself I'm strong, I have courage, I'm smart, and all these are lies, you continuously push that starting point backwards. Right? So that starting point is the truth. I talked to this one kid the other day. College is kicking my ass. I said, what are you gauging that off of? I go, are you trying? He goes, yeah, I'm trying my ass off. I'm studying hard. I go, what are you gauging trying hard off of? Well, in high school, I didn't have to try at all, and I made great grades. In college, I'm trying hard. You're trying hard compared to what you did in high school, which was it came easy to you. So your reality is something you created off of something easy. So you trying hard is 2 hours of studying. I'm gonna tell you a difference in trying hard and trying hard. Trying hard is something in your mind just doesn't stop, where 2 hours isn't enough. So it's all about, reality and what you're basing things off of. What is in us, we have no idea until we start trying hard. And I mean really trying hard, where you're obsessed with, hey, this is my new norm. My new norm is that, wow, this isn't always fun. And that's when you know you're trying hard. When you quit, your mind says we're done. So it doesn't expand. There's no expansion. When you say, this sucks, I'm drowning, I'm miserable, I'm suffering, I'm broken, but I'm not going anywhere. He's not leaving. So we gotta expand. We gotta grow. We gotta figure this thing out. And then you start to engage parts of your mind that you never engaged before. But you can't engage it talking about what I wanna do. I can't get this paragraph. I can't remember what's in this paragraph to pass this test. Read again. Still not getting it. Read again. But if you're not getting it, write it out. And that's how I started learning. Okay, well, I can't. I gotta write out everything I do, and then write it out again, and write it out again. And guess what happened? I got it. I got it. I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until the just becomes, your mind will say, okay, we're gonna figure it out, because he is not going to stop. The voice in my head said, you know what, man, you're gonna die never even trying to reach your full potential. And how's that gonna feel?
What I do, my life speaks louder than words, because when I begin to change my life, I'm going to learn to make good choices. I'm going to learn to be responsible. I'm going to be dedicated. I'm going to have good characters and morals and values. I'm going to own up when wrong. I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to stand up for what I know is right, and I won't let anybody change me. And maybe that's not where you're at right now, but you can get there, and these are the attributes of success, man. If you want something in life, you gotta be willing to do what nobody else has done. If you keep doing the same thing you've always done, it's the definition of insanity. If you want to change, you're gonna have to be willing to change. Good choices will always have good results. And I was making a lot of bad choices and a lot of bad decisions. And I was basing my value, my worth, off your opinions. And I learned something. Listen to me, everybody in here, I want you to understand something. Your value is never based off any of the opinions of anybody in this room. Who cares what anybody thinks or says about you? They are not your merit system. They are not your system of worth. You are who you say you are by your actions. But the choices and the decisions that we make have consequences, good or bad. And when I went to prison, at 23, listen, I came from a broken family. I had been labeled and unmarked and identified. I had battled hurts and pains and wounds. I had suicidal thoughts, and I had battled self-harming. Drugs and alcohol had consumed me. I had lost all dreams and goals. I felt like I had made too many mistakes to change. Listen, I felt like I had every reason to say, you know what, life is too tough, and I quit. I live with these three principles, and I promise you, man, they will change everything about who you are. Hard work works, make good choices, good things happen, and value people. I decided 10 years ago, literally, when this all happened, and I went to prison, I was like, you know what? I want to make this promise. I want to keep it to this family. I come from a lot of brokenness. I don't know where to start, but what I do know is the importance of the choices that I make. And so literally, I wrote the word, change the world, and I slapped it on my little prison cell window, and every single day I woke up and I realized, make good choices, great things happen. Aim small, miss small. Make good choices, great things happen. You see, every choice that I can make, listen, I can't control what you think about me. I can't control your opinion of me. I can't control what you say about me, but I control how I react, respond, and what I do with my life. I'm in control of my life. I don't let external factors control me. I'm in control of my life. Because sometimes life can be tough. Life can be challenging. And sometimes the obstacles in front of you seem like they're too big and it's easier just to lay down. But you know what I remembered? I remember when my dad used to look at me when a kid and said, listen, Nathan, life is never going to give you anything, but if you make it and if you build it, nobody can take it from you. Because hard work and tenacity and refusing to quit and chasing your dream, and you'll get there, I promise you. Maybe you don't hit the stars, but you'll land on the moon. You don't give up and you go after it, and you stop caring about the opinions of people around you. Stop blaming everybody from your hurts. Take ownership of your life. Take off your mask. Don't feed the bear. Make good choices. Be a best friend. Encourage somebody. Be a voice of hope and inspiration. This is your moment.
The simple thing is this. See, if your joy, your sadness, your happiness, your misery is determined by something or somebody around you, the chances of you being joyful in your life is remote. For every one of you, your life is precious, isn't it? It's a precious life. If something is precious, where do you want to invest this life? Into what do you want to invest this precious life? If this is a worthless life, throw it somewhere. If this is a precious life, what do you want to invest this life into? If you look at it this way, you will find something truly worthwhile to do. If you think in terms of how to earn a living, how to get this kind of thing, that kind of thing, then you will do something silly that you will regret for the rest of your life. Most people are a regret. That's why they're going around joylessly, because they're not doing what they want to do. They are not creating what really matters to them. They're doing something for a living. Earning a living is not a big deal for a human being. Every creature, every worm, insect, bird, animal is earning their living, isn't it so? With such a big brain, what is the big deal about earning a living? See, your ability to do things is not because you want to do things. I want to do something is my desire. Desire is just an intention. An intention won't make things happen. An intention will only set direction. Still you have to make the journey. We become too goal-oriented. Goal-oriented means we are interested in the consequence, but we are not interested in the process. Process is an end in itself. If you are absolutely devoted to the process, something will come out. But now we are interested in the consequence, not in the process. This goal-orientedness, I want to get there, I want to get there. No, I want to win the race. See, if you treat life as a race, if you have to win it, you have to get to the finish line soon. You want to? If you get to the finish line ahead of all these people, you won the race. You know what the finish line is? We'll be negotiating where to bury you. If you go outside in the garden and try to catch an ant who is born here, who's grown up here and probably he'll die here, if you try to catch him, he'll say, okay, crush me if you want. Is it so? He'll do everything to protect himself. He values his life, isn't it? Very much or no? Tiny little creature that we may not even notice, we may step on him without even seeing him, unfortunately. But he values his life immensely. Does he or no? He's got spark. But you, a human being, at least on this planet, you're the peak of evolution, physiologically at least. What the most evolved creature on the planet means is, it has the most complex neurological system and it has the highest level of cerebral capability. That means you can think, you can remember, you have memory. You have a very vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination. An ant doesn't have such a vivid sense of memory, nor does he have any great imagination. He has some. But he has a presence of mind about the life that he is living.
Hey guys, it's Gordon here from Motivation to Study, and I wanted to take a second to give a shout out to our great friends at Audible for partnering with us on this video. Personally, I can never find the time to read as much as I'd like to, and Audible is a great way to stay informed, inspired, and entertained in the shortest time possible. With Audible, you can get pretty much any book in any genre and listen to it anywhere you are, as it has the world's largest selection of audiobooks and audio entertainment. including Audible Originals, which are stories created exclusively for audio, including documentaries, exclusive audiobooks, and scripted shows that you can't hear anywhere else. You can listen at the gym, while shopping, or in the car, as it's hands down the most convenient way for me and the team at Motivation to Study to learn. So start listening with an Audible membership today. And to get started, you're going to get a free 30-day trial, where you receive your first audiobook for free and free access to Audible Originals. Just go to audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500. When you get started, I recommend checking out Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one of my recent favorites, where James reveals practical strategies that will teach you exactly how to form good habits, break bad ones, and master the tiny behaviors that lead to remarkable results. I highly encourage you to check it out. So if you want to get more reading done this year, I urge you guys to do it with Audible. Just go to audible.com/motivation and start your free trial now. That's audible.com/motivation. Or you can text motivation to 500-500. Give it a try and learn how to be the best version of you.
I can hear the advice of a lot of different people and say, okay, thank you. This is what I want to do. And I'll stand by it. I will never blame someone for my decisions. No, it's my life. Conflict. Fight back. I'm saying this, put together your thoughts logically and come back at me. Like, I want you to convince me that I'm wrong. Like, find the holes in my argument, find the gap in my thinking. It's like, here's my strategy, and I am prepared to do what it takes to stay alive. Like, what I tell my investors is, like, all you need to know is that I will be standing at the end of this match. That's it. And like, if I have to all of a sudden do an uppercut that I've never done, or like switch to southpaw out of nowhere, hey, I'll do what I have to do, because I'm gonna win this fight. In the end, say whatever you want to say about someone's fighting style. If they won, they won. Wanting very much to make sure that little girls who look like me believe that they can do anything. And believe that they can do more than just media and entertainment in particular, and believe in the value of their perspective. And so that's what gets me up in the morning. And then everything else, the details, is like, I can push through that day. And what I found is that instead of trying to live a successful life, if you aim to have a successful day, if you have 13 out of the 24 hours of your day, if you won those hours, you won the day. And if you win most of the days in a week, you won the week. You know, we just need a simple majority here. If you win, most of the weeks in a month, there you go. Most of the months in a year, most of the years. And all of a sudden, look at that. Without even trying, you've been able to kind of get somewhere. When I say, I know who I am, I guess the unsaid portion though is like, and then for the things I don't know about myself, I'm open to finding out. And so I think the idea is to think about our lives as a constant research experiment. Who I thought I was and what I thought I wanted when I was 19 is to a certain extent similar, now, but there's also a lot of difference in the nuances and the details of the execution. And I think what it is that like we all have a core that like is our soul, that is our kind of ethos that we're born with, that's our ethical nature that we get from our families and our friends and like where we grew up, that, ideally and hopefully it's good. And I think that nugget, that's always unchanging, and you have to figure out who that is, what that is inside of you as soon as possible. And I've always been a very reflective person. I've always been someone who will ask myself, every 6 weeks or so, am I happy? And it's a really simple thing. It's just like, the answers are either yes or no. And if it's a no, it's like, okay, well, am I doing things that, while right now maybe I'm not like blissfully happy, are working towards something that I know will make me happy? You know what I mean? Like, and am I generally happy with the idea of the trade-offs that I'm making right now, or that I have to deal with? Does that make me happy? And if that's a yes, it's like, okay, cool. But if it's still a no, it's like, oh, stop everything. Nope, this doesn't make sense. But so with that, you come back, you're like, okay, I need a solution. And so I started doing the check-in, which I do it's more like you can sense if you take some time to be quiet. You can sense when you're not in equilibrium, and then that's when you ask. That's it. Just running without taking a time to just know where you are. I mean, then there's probably going to be other symptoms when you're just overeating or overdoing this or not sleeping. Like people will be able to tell you, yeah, you don't look balanced if you asked. I was able to stay who I am by being open to learning about who I am from those who had been working to figure out themselves as well. And I think it takes a certain sense of humility to be willing to listen to those people, but also I think it takes a certain sense of logic, I guess, and just like dynamic thinking to realize that what they're telling you is simply part of your full concept of yourself, not the all, not the total of it. And, it is your life, it is your unique perspective, it is who you are that has brought you here. So anyone who invests in you is going to want you to be who you are. They're going to have to trust that being who you are, even if it's different from who they are, that's going to be the thing that's going to take this to the next level, no matter what.
How did you get your mindset into this alter ego to be comfortable being Black Mamba?
I switched my mind to something else. I switched my mode into something else, right? For me, it's the equivalent of Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator picking up the dirt, smelling the dirt. It's go time. You gotta put yourself in that cage. When you're in that cage, you are that character, right? So that was my mental switch. It was like an actor getting ready for a film. You gotta put yourself in that cage. When you're in that cage, you are that character. And then when you leave there, it's something completely different. But when I'm in that cage, bro, don't fucking touch me. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone.
The definition of work. What is the definition of work? Activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result.
Working hard is the cost of entry of winning. You know nobody on earth that's made it that didn't work hard.
There's a point in time where you have to absolutely get up and stand on your own 2 feet and say, this is the way in which I want to leave my impact on the world.
Every day trying to be better and trying to improve yourself by 1 or 2%. Fulfill things, set yourself a couple of tasks, do or die tasks a day, get them done. Feel better, move on to the next thing.
I mean, this is work.
I don't know your vision. I don't know your mission. I don't know what you want to be. I don't know who you want to be. I don't know how big you want to build. I don't know how big of a legacy you want to leave. I don't know your vision. I don't know your standards.
I want to take calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. For us to set goals and not achieve them, it's on us. There has to be a burning desire inside of us to do more, be more, and become more.
I heard someone once say that greatness is within you, but it's dormant, it's bottled up, just waiting for the moment to unleash and show the world how great you really are.
Yeah, you gotta lead by example. You gotta show them. And that's what I tried to do.
So think of your first week of classes as your opportunity to establish positive momentum.
It was an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses.
I didn't want anybody to be able to say, well, he's not willing to do the work.
So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become better. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Imagine if you wrote it down, you knew you were going to achieve it. Imagine if there was no procrastination in the things that we do. Imagine for a moment if you were someone who went out and executed on the things that you said you were going to do, because self-commitment is something that you absolutely have written on your heart. Like, what if we were the people who absolutely operated on the words that we told ourselves?
You know, you want to be a little bit better in some way tomorrow than you are today, but it's not going to be in a linear path. Again, these go through cycles of stress and recovery. If you're doing your best, if you're really laying it out there, there's nothing more you can do. I'm doing my best, and there's nothing more than that.
Compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today. And that's a game you can win, because you could be a little better today than you were yesterday. And that's a good thing. You're a little better. That's a good thing. And you know, no doubt there are some things that you could improve. You know, if you sit and meditate for any length of time about what you're not doing optimally, answers will spring to mind. You know, you could be getting up earlier. Comparing yourself to who you are now, that's a game you can win. Take stock of where you are. You know, what your advantages are and what your disadvantages are. And then you start with a little humility on the path of incremental improvement. And you know, incremental improvement compounds. And so you can get a long ways. Trajectory, in some sense, is more important than position for human beings. I mean, if you're starving to death, that's not the situation that I'm describing. But you know, if you've got the bare necessities of life, you're not surrounded by absolute privation. What you really want is to see that you're on an uphill path, you know, something that's got the right slope. And you can start anywhere on that path. And you can improve 0.5% a day or 1/4% a day, and you think, well, that's not very much. It's like it's 100% in 4 years. And that doesn't count compounding, you know, which means it's actually going to happen a lot faster. I think that the possibility that you can make yourself slightly better on a continual basis I think that's something that's accessible to everyone. I think that's equivalent to leading a virtuous life. And you know, I talked about the terrible catastrophe in some sense of differences in intelligence and differences in conscientiousness and so forth, and the downside of the meritocracy, but there is something to be said for virtue and truth. You know, and that is one thing. Another thing that I've noticed about people who've been phenomenally successful is that they really do everything they can to live a truthful life. And that, you can get a bloody long ways by being honest. The first thing I think you need to understand is that these people that you're comparing yourself to, you don't really know very well. What that means is that you see their shiny outside, but you don't see the reality of their life. People have hard lives, and even people who are comparatively fortunate have hard lives. The ideal that you're observing that makes you jealous and resentful is in large part an illusion that's created by your own mind. You're quite different from other people, and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to them because they're not like you. You know, they don't have your family. They don't have your temperament. They don't have your troubles. They don't have your abilities. The only person that has those is you. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today. And see, that's a game you can win. Most creative people fail at producing their creative product and monetizing it. Right? So your default position, if you're a creative person, is you're going to fail. And that's because it's hard to come up with something new, and it's hard to present it to the market at the right time, and it's hard to market it. Like, those things are really, really difficult. And so what successful entrepreneurs do is they just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And eventually, if they're fortunate, one of their ideas happens to hit the right place at the right time. And so that's also Darwinian in some sense. You know, you're creating all these little enterprises that are sort of alive. They're run by people after all. And even if your idea is good, that doesn't mean it will be successful. There's so many things that have to be taken into account. So this is partly why persistence, and that's part of conscientiousness, is so useful. It's like, you know, what do they say? If at first you fail, then try again. And that would probably mean try something different rather than the same thing. But persistence is helpful because it enables you to run many, many experiments. And you need to know that the baseline is failure. You know, it's important because otherwise you'll blame that on yourself. You know, and some of that's useful because there's probably some things that you could improve about yourself. But it's very difficult to go from 0 to 1, you know. If you're starting out as a salesperson, for example, the hardest sale is the first customer. And then, you know, they get easier with each additional customer. Be careful who you share good news with, because you want to share good news with people who are going to be genuinely happy for you, and that's one way that you can identify those people who are truly on your side. Be careful who you share bad news with, because that's equally tricky. You know, you want someone who will listen to you when you're having trouble and allow you your grief, especially if it's a consequence of something tragic, and who won't try to one-up you, you know, because often when you're talking to people, they'll be thinking about what they have to say that's worse, and that's not helpful if you need a listening ear. Make one room in your house as beautiful as possible. I talked a lot already about the necessity of cleaning your room, which is, you know, in some sense a foolish piece of advice because it seems so obvious, but it's not obvious at all. And you'll find if you try it, especially if you're in a household that's not very functional, that you'll encounter obstacles that you couldn't imagine existed while you're trying to put your life in order. And you can take your surroundings beyond order and move towards beauty, and that's unbelievably useful.
Another sunrise provides another opportunity for you to undo the unwise things that you did that almost led to your academic demise. Since health is wealth, you exercise your option to revise your study habits. And to the surprise of not only you, but all of your instructors and advisors, you all of a sudden appeared smarter and wiser. See, they had you flagged for failure, but never had the heart to tell you. I know so many students can relate to the struggles in this story, but very few ever overcome and achieve the glory, because so many fit into the woe is me category instead of the oh it's me category, which 9 out of 10 times it is. See, you're the one that keeps getting to class late. You're the one that decided not to study because you had that date. You're the one that never asks questions and keeps making mistake after mistake after mistake. You're the one that keeps making excuse after excuse after excuse for why your academic status is in an unsatisfactory state. So the question I have for you, why are you even enrolled in school if you have no desire to try? I think I know the reason why. It's because you forgot about your why. And this is the very moment I need you to go stand in front of a mirror and look yourself eye to eye. It's hardship time, because you were born with greatness embedded in your soul. You were born with a gift of sharing a phenomenal story to be told. You were born with a will to succeed and the brilliance to create and achieve goals. You were born to be mentally and physically rich and receive your pot of gold. But up to this point, your storms have not produced a rainbow. And thus it's time for you to take a different angle, a different approach. So right now, I'm your new mentor. I'm your new coach. And I'm not here to stroke your ego. I'm here to get you away from them turkeys and back to soaring with them eagles. Because you forgot that you said your why was to be the first one from your family to graduate with honors. You said your why was to never again be average, and to do that, you had to be a scholar. You said your why was, you fill in the blank. And let that be all the fuel that you need to put back in your tank. And now that you re-energized, I expect you to quickly rise up your class rank and get back on track to graduate, which means more money in the bank. You can thank me later. But right now, you got a paper that's due. And you gotta do what you gotta do, which means focus, concentration, and execution until you get through. So this is the moment that your gray skies of academia turn blue. You told all your slacking friends to do them because you're about to do you. Because you refuse to be in that 57% of students that don't graduate on time. Your light was dim and flickering, but now it's about to shine. They might not like it, but they gotta respect it. Greatness requires planning. So you created a daily success checklist because you were failing miserably because you were unprepared and reckless. But the new you is ready. And so you had a one-on-one with your advisor and even visited your own campus career specialist. You're the definition of an overcomer because you would never fall, even in the winter, spring, or summer. Through all of your pitfalls and blunders, you kept on dancing, even if it was to the beat of a different drummer. So this is for any student who feels like their life and school balance is unbearable. For any student who feels like in a certain class they're just doing terrible. Any student who feels like the damage to their grade is unrepairable. Any student who feels that giving up is acceptable. Because giving up is unacceptable. And for an incredible individual like you, I know you're human, and at times you will be skeptical. But please believe me when I say, any mistake you made is correctable. And you just have to remember, you have impeccable strength to power through and overcome any hardship. So let this propel lift and give you the inner fight to remember your why and your gift. And help you create that mental shift that allows you to pick yourself right back up whenever you slip. And remember, all of your falls and trips are preparing you for that magical trip and the ultimate feeling of satisfaction and elation you'll get when you walk across that stage with your arms held high, get your diploma, and throw your cap up in the sky, scream and celebrate. Job well done. It's what that moment will signify. You are an unbreakable force. And don't you never, ever, ever forget that. This is a great day to win.
You're never going to be great if you don't look for the 5%. You know, I think that you can pick up from talking to me that I'm not on a different level, okay? These are pretty simple, basic tools. And so nobody out there is listening to him and saying, God darn, he's just using words and he's just so much smarter than me, so I'm not going to become worth $5 billion. That book is bullshit, okay? He's just naturally smarter than me. I think you can see that I'm no smarter than anybody else in this room. I just use certain little basic tools to be successful every day. Take the word no out of your vocabulary. Worry about your customer, no spare customers. Use the 95-5 rule. Separate yourself from everybody else. Be the bull at whatever you do, and on and on and on. Well, you just gotta keep punching and just take care of your business, and you just realize until they come and shut you down or lock the doors or you can't get product or whatever, until you can't make a payroll. You'd be surprised what you can take though. And you just keep punching and punching, and believe it or not, times, get good. And it goes back to what I once again preach. When times are really bad, we forget they're ever gonna be good again. And when times are really good, we forget they're gonna be bad again. I don't fear anything, but I worry about everything. And the day you stop worrying in good times, the paddle will get your behind. And so as great as things are in life, I know you're only a few steps or a few incidents away from something bad happening. You can never forget it. I'm taking the next steps right now to get to the next level. Because that's my sport. Let's go play pickup basketball. Let's go to the office and play business. And that's what I do every day. I go to the office and play business. You got to know what you know and what you don't know. And I knew that I understood business. I think you know if you know business or not. And people ask me, should I go get my MBA? And you know what I usually tell them? You know if you need to go get your MBA. If you don't have it inside of you and you understand economics and finance and operations of business, then you need to go get it. I knew that I didn't need it. It was just a God-given gift. You've got to know your God-given gifts, and everybody has it. Everybody in this room has it right here. So do what you know was your God-given gift and find a way to use that as your path. Know your numbers. No matter what business you're looking at, always know your numbers. Number two, realize that we're not successful if that consumer does not come to us, whether they're eating in your restaurants, whether they're playing in your casino, and whether if you don't have a good product on that basketball court, the fans are not going to come and buy those tickets, the sponsors aren't going to come, and therefore you're not going to have the money to pay for those good players next year. You're not going to be able to pay Russell Westbrook and James Harden each $40 million a year. You've got to always remember, we're only as good as us taking care of that consumer. One of the things I teach everybody, and especially my kids, don't assume anything. People think if somebody walks in and gives you an answer that it's the right answer. And even when I tell somebody to do something, I don't assume they went and did it. I'll ask them a week later, did you do that I asked you to do? Because that was really important to me. Oh my gosh, I didn't do that. And I think that's the biggest mistake people make, is don't assume that everything's running right, don't assume anything. You can go to work every day and separate yourself from anybody else. And it's no different than the sound guy on this set. If you pick up, you know what, this sound guy is really, really good, and he's worried about this and he's worried about that, then all of a sudden you tell somebody, you need a good sound guy this, and then they end up on this person because of a recommendation. And all of a sudden, this guy's known as the best sound guy in LA because he's paying attention or she's paying attention to details that the other sound people don't. No, you know what, I hear an ambulance out there, let's cut it. You know, just a little bitty things. And I just think that it's easy to separate yourself from anybody else, no matter what your position is. If you go to work for a company and you don't go up the corporate ladder, it's your fault.
Thanks for tuning in to this video, sponsored by the good folks at Skillshare. If you like great deals like I do, make sure you click the link in the description right below this video.
I'm very excited about today's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Your mission statement makes you the leader of your own life. You create your own destiny and secure the future you envision. It's this abundance mentality that is so important for creating success. It's because most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. If I can go there in the mind, I can go there in the body. One thing that's absolutely important to creating an innovation is diversity. Golden nugget number 1, be proactive. Your life doesn't just happen. Whether you know it or not, it's carefully designed by you and the choices you make. You choose to be happy. You choose to be sad. You choose to make fast decisions and stick to them. You choose to waver on your decisions. You choose success, you choose failure, you choose courage, you choose fear. Just remember that every moment, every situation provides you an opportunity to make a brand new choice in your life. And when you do that, it gives you a perfect opportunity to do things differently to produce more positive results. So being proactive is about taking responsibility for your life. You can't keep blaming everything on your parents or on your grandparents, on your siblings. Proactive people recognize that they are what Covey calls response-able. They don't blame genetics, circumstances, conditions, or conditioning for their behavior. They know they choose their behavior. Reactive people, on the other hand, are often affected by their physical environment. They find external sources to blame for their behavior. If the weather is good, they feel good. If the weather is crap, they feel like crap. All of these external forces that are outside of our mind, that are outside of our control, they act as stimulus that we respond to. Now, between the stimulus and the response is your greatest power. You have the freedom to choose your response. One of the most important things you choose is what you say. Your language is a good indicator of how you see yourself. A proactive person uses proactive language. I can, I will, I prefer, and so on and so forth. A reactive person uses reactive language. I can't, or I have to, or if only. Reactive people believe they are not responsible for what they say and do. They don't have a choice. Instead of reacting to or worrying about conditions over which they have little to no control, proactive people focus their time and their energy on things that they can control. The problems, challenges, and opportunities we face all fall into two areas: the circle of concern and the circle of influence. Proactive people, they focus their efforts, their time, their energies on the circle of influence. They work on the things they can do something about: their health, their children, their parents, problems at work. Reactive people, on the other hand, they focus the majority of their efforts in the circle of concern, things that have very little control over. When you gain an awareness of the areas that you spend most of your energy, that's how you can make the first step in becoming a proactive person. Golden nugget number 2 is based on imagination, the ability to envision in your mind what you can't at present time see with your eyes. It's based on the principle that all things are created twice. There's the mental creation, which is first, and then the second, which is physical creation. The physical creation follows the mental just as a building follows a blueprint. If you don't make a conscious effort to visualize who you are and what you want in life, then you empower other people and other circumstances around you to shape you and your life by default. And you don't want to do that. You want to be in control. It's about connecting again with your own uniqueness and then defining the personal, moral, and ethical guidelines within which you can most happily express and fulfill yourself. Begin with the end in mind means to begin each day, each task or each project, each relationship with a clear vision of your desired direction and destination, and then continue by flexing your proactive muscles to make things happen. Golden nugget number 3, put first things first. To live a more balanced life, you have to recognize that not doing everything that comes along, it's okay. There's no need to overextend yourself. All it takes is realizing that it's all right to say no when necessary and then focus on your highest priorities. Habit 1 says, you're in charge, you're the creator. Being proactive is about choice. Habit 2 is the first or mental creation, beginning with the end in mind. It's all about vision. Habit 3 is the second creation, the physical creation. This habit is where habits 1 and 2 come together. It happens day in and day out, moment by moment. It deals with many of the questions addressed in the field of time management. But that's not what it's all about. Habit 3 is about life management as well. Your purpose, values, roles, and priorities. What are first things to you? Golden nugget number 4, think win-win. Now, think win-win, it's not about being nice, and it's definitely not a quick fix technique. It's a character-based code for human interaction and collaboration. Most of us learn to base our self-worth on comparisons and competition. We think about succeeding in terms of someone else failing. That is, if I win, you lose. And if you win, I lose. With this type of thinking, life becomes a zero-sum game. There's only so much pie to go around, and if you get a big piece, there's going to be less for me. It's not fair. We all play the game, but how much fun is it really? Win-win sees life as a cooperative arena, not a competitive one. Win-win is a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefit in all human interactions. Win-win means agreements or solutions are mutually beneficial and satisfying. A person or organization that approaches conflicts with a win-win attitude possesses 3 vital character traits. Integrity, sticking with your true feelings, values, and commitments. Maturity, expressing your ideas and feelings with courage and consideration for the ideas and feelings of others. And finally, abundance mentality, believing there is plenty to go around for everyone. To go for win-win, you not only have to be empathetic, but you have to also be confident. You not only have to be considerate and sensitive, you also have to be brave. to achieve that balance between courage and consideration is the essence of real maturity and is fundamental to this win-win philosophy. Golden nugget number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Communication is the most important skill in life. You spend years learning how to read, how to write, and years learning how to speak. But what about listening? What training have you had that enables you to listen so you really, deeply understand another human being? Probably none, right? If you're like most people, you probably seek first to be understood. You want to get your point across. And in doing so, you may ignore the other person completely, pretend that you're listening, selectively hear only certain parts of the conversation, or focus only on the words being said, not the meaning of the words. So why does this happen? It's because most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. You listen to yourself as you prepare in your mind what you're going to say next, the questions you're going to ask, etc., etc. You filter everything you hear through your life experiences and through your frame of reference. You check what you hear against your autobiography and see how it measures up. And consequently, you decide prematurely what the other person means before he or she finishes communicating. Golden nugget number 6. Synergize. Now, put simply, synergy means 2 heads are better than 1. Synergize is the habit of creative cooperation. It's teamwork, open-mindedness, and the adventure of finding new solutions to old problems. But it doesn't just happen on its own. It's a process. And through that process, people bring all their personal experience and expertise to the table. Together, they can produce far better results that they could not do individually. Synergy lets us discover jointly things we are much less likely to discover by ourselves. It's the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. When people begin to interact together genuinely, and they're open to each other's influence, they begin to gain new insight. Do you truly value the mental, emotional, and physiological differences among people? Or do you wish everyone would just agree with you so you could all just get along? Differences should be seen as strengths, not weaknesses. They add zest to life. Last but certainly not least, golden nugget number 7. Sharpen your saw. Now, sharpen the saw means preserving and enhancing the greater asset you have. You. It means having a balanced program for self-renewal in the 4 areas of your life. Physical, social, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Now, here are some examples of different activities. Physical, beneficial eating, exercising and resting. Social emotional, making social and meaningful connections with others, friends, family. Mental, learning, reading, writing, teaching. Spiritual, spending time in nature, expanding spiritual self through meditation, music, art, prayer, or service. As you renew yourself in each of the 4 areas, you create growth and change in your life. Sharpen the saw keeps you fresh so you can continue to practice the other 6 habits. You increase your capacity to produce and handle the challenges around you when you sharpen your saw. Without this renewal, the body becomes weak, the mind mechanical, emotions raw, the spirit insensitive, and the person selfish. Feeling good, it just doesn't happen. Feeling good is something you have to work on. Living a life in balance means taking the necessary time to renew yourself. Again, it's all up to you. It's all in your circle of influence. It's something you control. You can renew yourself through relaxation, or you can totally burn yourself out by overdoing everything. Just remember that every day provides a new opportunity for renewal, a new opportunity to recharge yourself instead of hitting the wall. All it takes is the desire, knowledge, and skill to know how to do it.
you.